Well, welcome everybody to the last day of July, almost the last day of July webinar meeting. We're having a very interesting time with all the changes of product that have been made and all the reports that we're getting. It's kind of a fun time, and we're getting ready to do a whole series of meetings, and Cher's been very busy. And today we want to really kind of cover some technology, and then at the end of the meeting I think we're going to cover some experiences that people have had with the new product, because regardless of all the technology, what it really comes right down to is how is the product working, and what are people really experiencing with it. So if we can, what I'd like to do is just have everybody introduce themselves, and Cher, I think I'll start with you.
Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to the very last Saturday here in July of 2016. This is Cher Weiner out in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Welcome to the webinar.
Ken?
Ken and Mary Dockery from beautiful Spring Branch, Texas.
Sherry?
Good morning everyone.
Good morning.
This is Sherry from New Jersey, but today I'm in the state of Pennsylvania.
Good to see you. John?
Barb and John Dorgan from Oak Lawn, Illinois, the capital of Illinois.
Capital of Illinois. Okay, I accept that. Lori?
It's going to be the Aries store capital.
There you go.
Chào đại chào thấy mình.
Lori?
Họ có thấy mình trong đó chưa?
You're muted, Lori.
Okay, good morning. This is Lori from Crossville in Wisconsin.
Good. And Victoria and Hong? And you would like to just introduce yourself so people hear your voice?
Ông mới hello anh Bill.
I think they're struggling with cameras a little bit, and that's okay. So, and then Mark.
Yeah, Mark Converse, and I'm in the Greenville assembly plant today.
Great. So let's get to start talking a little bit kind of about the manufacturing process and a little bit about some of the science involved. And then towards the end of the meeting, we're going to open it up and just hear some experiences. So, Mark, I've had some questions asked me, and I thought you were probably in a better position to answer them than I am. Talk a little bit about all the steps that we kind of go through in the testing, without revealing secrets, of course, about what we do and how these things are set up, and just give people a flavor for what the quality control system is.
Okay, we're talking about R&D testing or quality testing?
Quality testing, please.
Okay. All right. So a couple of things that we do. We have a number of steps. To begin with, the assembly people are all trained to look at the work that they receive from the person in front of them and just do a quick inspection to make sure that nothing looks out of place. So rather than waiting for a product to get all the way to the end of the line to discover a problem, we try to intercept those problems a little early on. Then once the main board and the ionizer board or assembly, once those two assemblies are done, they're mated with each other, and then we actually power the units up. And we've changed our testing procedure a little bit since we've started with the new project, or the new product, enhanced product. We actually are looking at a couple of different points with the oscilloscope. We measure the current that goes in, that's running through the product, and we have set standards for those things so that the operators, the test technicians, know the difference between a good and a bad unit. And then we do a burn-in so that each unit is run for about 15 minutes or so, or at least 15 minutes. Usually it's a bit longer than that. And then once they're final assembled, then there's a visual inspection, and to make sure that everything looks right. They make sure the switch operates like it's supposed to, and that they notice a difference in the ozone levels. They listen for fan noise. They give it a good shake just to make sure there's no loose hardware. And then from there it goes into the box.
Wow, a pretty fast description about what goes on. But, you know, a couple of the key things are, number one, we're building this thing with American people. And I can tell you right now, having seen the product that comes from China, I will guarantee you that there's no pride of ownership. And one of the really key things, as you and I have discussed so many times, you cannot inspect good quality into anything. Either people care or they don't care. And that's the one beauty about building this thing with American. We really do get an extremely high quality product that we know it's going to work every time. And so that's a great deal. As long as you're on a roll, let's just talk a little bit. I'm curious what you're going to say about the lab, because there's a lot of things you can't talk about. But tell people a little bit what our capacities are.
Well, we have a full electronics lab. So any parameter that we need to test, we can. We can test and inspect individual components. We have a full set of meters for that. We also have meters and monitoring equipment so that we can monitor electronics while they're running, monitoring wave shapes and current and voltage and all of those things. And then in addition to that, we have quite a few things that we use to test finished product. So we do have an ozone monitor so that we can measure ozone production. And that's one of the ways we sort of judge the power output of a product. We also are able to measure ionization, and we can measure the amount of charge in the air. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but we do have the meters, and we have to be a little creative in how we use them because we're making both positive and negative. The meter looks like we're not doing anything. The net is zero, and so we have to sort of be creative on how we measure that. And then we also have ways of measuring particulate and how we are doing in reducing it. We can measure before state, and we can monitor as the particulate drops out of the air. And then we also have a number of other chemical monitors. We are able to measure things like formaldehyde and some other things like that. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh, then we're able to measure biologics as well. And that's a key part of our testing to make sure that the claims that we make about microbe reduction and organic reduction, that the unit is actually effective at those things.
You did very well. As a matter of fact, I sat there with my hand on the mute button to be sure that you did not say something I didn't want you to say. But you basically covered it. We can do anything we need to do. If we actually have to farm something out to do it, we've got that capacity as well. And so we utilize it. You know, some people get the eye that it's kind of a toy. The device that we've got, the Air Restore, is an extremely complex design. It may not look like it, but I can assure you that it is very, very powerful. And as such, we need to know what we're really doing with it. So appreciate that. Thank you, Mark. And
You bet.
we open it up later. Some people might have questions, so obviously don't go away a little bit. You know what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to talk a little bit about, if everybody would please get on mute, that is on the panel. Everybody else is on. And so just stay on mute because background noise is our worst enemy. And so let's just talk a little bit about some of the science involved. I want to focus this time a little bit on the ionization, because, you know, when we get so involved with the design, there's a tendency to want to focus on one aspect or the other. And a lot of times we focus on what Mark just talked about, the ozone, because it's so easy to measure, and it's something that is a pretty good indication of power levels and things like that. I just put on the screen basically, this is a picture of our sculptured plasma plate. And when you look at that thing, you can see, I just love this picture because it really shows and demonstrates some of the power levels that we really are talking about, creating all these active elements, creating the free hydrogen, the hydroxyls, the peroxides, the pentoxides, all these kinds of elements that are being created from the natural elements of the air, on that plate. And you know, because it's so beautiful and because it looks so good and because we can kind of smell one of the ingredients that comes out of there, a little bit of the ozone, people tend to focus on that and don't really realize how significant the rest of the unit is. And so today we're going to kind of focus a little bit on just how powerful that. Now remember, this is the heart. This is the thing that drives the new system. And I'm going to point out some things on here again for people. This is the new carbide needle setup that we have. And it allows us to be able to do things in a much, much more powerful way. As you can see, entirely different shape than the one we used to have. The one we used to have was a flat plate, a flat needle, if you will, and it was sharp. And it doesn't have to be absolutely needle sharp, but the sharper it is, the more powerful it is. And with this new needle setup, what we're able to do is basically, with this conical shape in here, we're able to focus all of the energy right at the tip of the needle. And by focusing that energy at the tip of the needle, we have increased the power level of the bipolar ionization system tremendously. I don't think we've gone back in and actually done a calculation yet as to how many times more powerful it is, because it's not so much that we're creating a different number of ions, but that we're focusing them in a way that allows them to be projected out into the room in a much stronger way than they have been. As Mark has mentioned a couple of times, working in the lab, if you get your hand anywhere near that tip of that needle, and we always recommend don't do that because it won't kill you, but it'll sure get your attention. And so we don't encourage people to do that. But you can feel the air, what feels like air coming off there, and that's not air. That's pure raw energy. And this little system, my now switching over to this carbide needle thing, is a real breakthrough. It's very difficult to work with carbide. Carbide is almost as hard as diamond. And so to try to get a shape and exactly like we want it is very difficult to do. It takes a special carbide. It takes a special way to make it. But once we've got it made, that tip basically remains almost permanent. And because it's forcing energy out, it keeps itself clean. It's got a self-cleaning aspect to it. It's more powerful. We have the positive and the negative side going over there. And just having this raw energy makes us have a system that is able to get out and deal with the pollutants in a very unusual way. Get to the next one here.
While you're getting this slide, if I can, I'll just jump in with this. It's you don't need to get too very close to those needles. I'm going to say on the order of like 3 or even maybe 4 inches away from those needles, you can feel, I can feel anyway, that strong ionic breeze on the palm of my hand.
Oh yeah, very definitely. And what you're feeling coming out of there is mostly that ionic energy anyway. I just know that it is so strong down there on the tip of the needles that when we look at those needles under the microscope now, we do not see an accumulation of pollution on there baked on like we used to see. It's just driving it off. Here is a visual description of why this energy is so important. This is a description showing what happens actually when you have got a hydrogen and oxygen atom coming together. And when you get those coming together in order to make water, what you end up getting is energy, pure energy coming off. Well, the opposite is true as well, that if you put the energy into the system and force the hydrogen and oxygen to get back into a water molecule, you will actually end up getting it to go back and reform again. So you put the energy back into the system or you take it out. Either way, you are changing the chemistry of what is in the air. Not through chemical actions, but through energy. Just starting to remember that all of this is all about energy all of the time. And with that idea that energy itself can form and deform, if you will, a chemical reaction, that's the basis of what an awful lot of the cleaning that we do in the air is all about. It is not about chemistry nearly as much as it's about energy. This is a slide that I've shown you once before, and it's important to note for a couple of reasons. When you take a look at this, this is ATP. Adenosine triphosphate, and that's basically the basic building block of all living matter. All energy is transmitted in a cell through ATP. And so if you've got ATP on any surface, you know you've got organisms on that surface. If you don't have any, you know that it's not there. And that's why we kind of like to use it, and it's a standard being used in the industry to know when you've got contaminated surfaces. So when we use an air restore, we know that, for example, that the ATP drops way down, and sometimes goes completely away, but most of the time it just drops way down. So what happened? What made it go away? And I've told people many times, you know, what we're really doing is destroying the chemical. So it's gone. It can never come back again. And this just kind of illustrates the process. So if you look over here, you see that there's, like most organic material, this is a complex chain of a whole bunch of oxygen, phosphate, hydrogen, and each one of these little things represents a little building block. And you can see that there are basically 3 identical triphosphate phosphate molecules, and 3 of them, so it's tri. And all you have to do is change one. And so if we put some energy in here and we're able to get one of these to break off, so that down here you see that we are now short one of the 3 that we had up there. This is now diphosphate instead of triphosphate. And I know all that doesn't mean anything to you. But here's the important thing. It's no longer what it was. It is now something else. And we didn't do anything but put energy in the air. Now, how did we put energy in the air? We put it in the air through that stream of electrons and streams of positive charges that are going out into the air. So it wasn't necessarily a chemical reaction as near as it was just an energy transformation. So when we talk about the air restore as being a device that restores the energy back into the air to get the air to do what it normally does, this is what it does. By putting that energy back in the air, we actually create a way of cleaning the air in a very natural process. This is what's so new. This is a completely different concept than people have used before to try to clean the air. In other words, just by putting the energy in the air, we're able to make it happen. And so one of the questions becomes how can we tell people that there's actually energy in the air? Well, Mark and I had the interesting experience. He came and got me set one day and pointed out that this took me into the men's room, as a matter of fact, and said, look what we got going in here. Our building, because we share part of our lab and part of our wall spaces are shared with an outside loading dock, tends to get to be pretty dirty. We get a lot of diesel tractor fumes in there. We get a lot of just plain dirt because the doors are open all the time. And so it's not the cleanest place back in this area. But here you can see something that we thought was really very interesting. You see over here, oops. See over here, we've got the air restore. Now this is not the new one. This is the previous one, and we're going to redo this picture in a few days when we put the new one in there. But we've had this in there to see we actually use our own product. And here's the interesting thing. You see this stream up in here? Now you know that with the new one or the old one, there's no air coming out of here. But look what happens over here. You see over here on this wall, there is a real curvature of really dirt. Now, you can't see it very well in this picture, but it extends all the way out here and actually extends clear over into the next mirror that's on the wall. But because it's a nice shiny surface, you can actually see what the pattern is. The energy coming out of here is so strong that it is taking the dirt, the solid dirt in the air, and putting it on the mirror. And you can see that there is a natural path, and you can see that even in here that it's kind of strong. Well, the reason it's kind of strong right in here is because the dirt is being actually eaten off of the glass. And so this is kind of it's the kind of little stripes that go on in here, but you can see that it was here. Now, that cannot happen unless there's energy in the air. And so even though when we put an ion meter in the front of the old air restore, it says 0, obviously something is going on. It's why we use particle reduction rates in the laboratory to determine how strong the ionizer is. Now here's the kind of interesting thing. You see all that stuff that came out of the air. If we just had a negative ion generator, well, what is going to happen here is that you're going to plate on there and you're not going to be able to get it off. I think some people that had the old Alpines, for example, remember sometimes you'd get this stuff on the glass and it was almost impossible to get off. This is another view of it here, and you can see this little space in here. I think that all we did, I think Mark just took his finger and wiped across the glass there, and that dirt came off. That meant it is not electroplated, because if it was electroplated, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would really have to abrade that surface to get it off. And I think I've got one more view of it to see if we can show it here. And you can see you can see now how far out that dirt extends. And then right in this area, there's a place where probably the ionization has picked up a lot of the, I would guess, if I had to guess, it's probably the free hydrogen that's in the air, and is actually putting it along here. And so it's getting it dirty, but it's also cleaning it off. But look how easily it was to move that dirt off there. So this is kind of an interesting little demonstration of just how powerful the ionizer is, because even though it filled up that whole room, we got it to be visible on a piece of glass. It is so powerful, and the glass, because it's a mirror, made it something that we could actually see. So that just shows you we've got the energy. The previous slide basically shows you why when you get the energy in the air, you're able to get rid of a molecule, get it to go away, and that's pretty important. People say, yeah, but how about the ozone? How much ozone is there really in the air? Well, the question came up last week about just how much ozone are we actually putting into the air, because you heard Mark say when you get your face down there you can smell a trace of ozone, but take a look here. How much is there really in the air? This is a test that was done by Intertek as part of our carb testing, and you can see over here how low this is. This is an 8-hour concentration. You can see that they ran it for 8 hours. Over on the left side here, you can see this is parts per million. Now remember, 0.05 parts per million is the acceptable limit, which is a ridiculously low level because it's lower than outdoor air. But look where we're at. See, we're not producing ozone. We're producing only 0.1. Anyway, from 0.1, let's see, what's the highest one we got? 0.7 out of 0.05. 0.007, 0007, 7/10 of 1, where we're allowed 50 parts per billion. So we're a fraction, and yet people smell it and they think, oh, you're just an ozone generator. No, my friend, we're not an ozone generator. And even though, yes, we can smell it, people say, well, why can I smell it? It's because your olfactory senses are so sensitive to differentials, and ozone has a very distinct odor. So we're not producing it, and yet what we're doing is we are constantly getting we're constantly getting the action as though we had the old ozone generator. In other words, what we're doing is going directly to the pre-hydrogen, the hydroxyls, and the other things that are just important. And so I hope that really helps in kind of understanding a little bit about how and why we insist on the fact that we are really not an ozone generator. So we're not an ozone generator because we are so much more than that. So let me just kind of go around a little bit. We've kind of gone about halfway through our period of time now, and see if anybody has got any question. I've got all of you muted right now. So if anybody has got a question they'd like to ask about that little presentation, or maybe a question for Mark, just unmute and say, Ken and Mary, I see you've unmuted. Have you got a question?
Well, actually, I've got an observation. I was talking with one of our previous customers out in California yesterday. And of course, in California, they know everything. So he says, well, this is just an ionizer. And I said, no, it's not. But what you just explained here gives me a reasonable explanation so that even the geniuses might understand it.
Well, the information is out there. This is just the first time that somebody has really taken a look at it from an energy standpoint instead of a cleaning standpoint. And when you realize that why not make it as natural as you possibly can? I hope that really helps. And that's the idea of these webinars, is you should be able to download that or share that with somebody else, just that section of it, and let them see for themselves, so you don't actually have to do the presentation. But I hope it helps. It is always a question. We've always got experts that know more than anybody else, even though they've never really done anything except give it a passing lip service to something somebody else said.
Is that page with the test results available for us?
We've not made it. It's part of a test report that we can't use because of our agreement with the testing lab. But you can certainly use a portion of this video. And if somebody were to actually make a screen copy of it, I guess I would never know, would I? So, anybody else got a real quick question? Otherwise, we're going to get some more testimonials about what the product is actually doing for everybody.
I have a little bit of added information there. So the area in the bathroom where that naturalizer is placed is actually sitting in front of 2 mirrors. So there are 2 mirrors about the same size, and then there's about a foot, maybe foot and a half between the 2. And you could see where there was where the dirt was being taken out of there. The pattern continued on to the other mirror, I guess is what I would say. So even as far away as, what would you say, about 6 feet, it was visible. And yet at the same time, I know the first thing that we thought of is, oh my God, I hope we don't have electroplating going on. And so I took my finger and just smeared it on there, and it came off so easily. We didn't want to clean the mirror just because we wanted to get a picture of it, but I have no doubt that just a regular wash down with a sponge or a cloth, a little Windex, will just, it's dirt. It's not electroplating.
Bill, do we get any residual electroplating for negatives that can't find positives or something else to hang on?
No, we're so balanced, you see, but that's the beauty of putting out 70 trillion ions each on both sides. So you get unbalanced and you get to 65 trillion and 75 trillion. It is such a small, that sounds like a lot, but because you've got so many of each one, you never have any noticeable effect from it. If we were just making 10, and you got off by 1, that'd be huge, but when you have so many of them, you can't even find the effect of it. And that's the advantage, of doing something as strong as we're able to do, is that the effect of it is very powerful. When you look at and hear the reactions of people, it's kind of amazing when you get to think about how little does it really take sometimes to make a huge difference in our body. I was commenting with Mark the other day that if you take a pill of medication and you figure out, you take a little pill and most of that's filler, and you figure out how much of that pill actually is medication, and you put it in your mouth and it has a huge impact on your body. Well, the same thing is true of the air. Even though the activated portion of the air is such a small percentage of the total amount of air, the fact is that it has a huge impact on what's going on in your body. Sometimes I think we tend to think in terms of massive things. We've got to change all of the air. We've got to be able to get rid of all of the stuff in the air, when in fact it's the tiniest amount of energy in that air that causes our body to react, but not having it also has a huge impact. And so when people say, well, how can 0.01 parts per million out of 200,000 parts per million of oxygen make any difference? Well, it does. Our bodies need it and depend on it, and if it's not there, it does have a huge impact. Okay, well, I'm going to kind of go around the table here and see if anybody has got a comment or something that they would like to share with us a little bit and about some things. I know we've had some questions this week. I don't know if my view is not showing it or what. Lori, are you there? We might have lost her. She was up in the North Woods. and I'm not sure we're able to hold on to her here. I think we may have lost her. So, anybody else? Charlie Tan out in California, good morning. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. Unmute, if you wouldn't mind, and just talk a little bit about any experiences you might have had or your people might have had with the product in the last week, especially the new version. How do you like it?
Yeah, we love it. You know, I only experienced it very first time, the very first 2 days when I used it. I feel the difference. After that, it's normal again. You know, but we're all excited about. I think when we do the ammonia test, it takes quicker.
Oh yeah,
It's quicker to break down the smell. So I think it's more powerful.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because when in the last meeting we had up in Chicago with John and Barb, I think people really kind of started falling in love with the onion test, just because John and Barb, their people had the experience of doubting the ammonia test, and so that's really good. I think that doing the ammonia test is quick and dirty and easy, and then to the doubting Thomases, you go to the onion test. Have you ever used the onion test, Charlie?
Oh yeah, I do it both. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yesterday when I do the meeting, so I do the ammonia test, and then because a lot of Asian Chinese sometimes they don't know what's ammonia, so I have to break the onion too. So I do the onion test, and then also the light bulb test. So this time, definitely confident they will light up the light bulb.
Very interesting. Pretty good.
Bill, I have a question, if it's okay.
Sure.
I dropped one to a friend of mine who is on dialysis 3 days a week, and he does have oxygen. What exactly can I tell him? I mean, his wife is a doubting Thomas, and I was trying to tell him, because I don't want to make medical claims on, for that type of thing. So what can I tell him as far as he may realize?
Well, there's a couple things about it. Remember that when you're on oxygen, that's not a natural thing to be on anyway, because when you have pure oxygen, you basically are having that oxygen try to absorb itself with a hydrogen and to get back to water vapor, because that's more stable than the oxygen is itself. And so you dry out your mucus. So what should happen is that if you're on oxygen and you put on an air restore, you actually are now going to be generating more moisture in your respiratory system to allow the oxygen to get into your bloodstream faster. In my opinion, that more than likely, if you put a blood oxygen monitor on somebody who is on oxygen, you would find their oxygen level would go up much quicker with the air restore than without the air restore. So they work together. And in reality, if you can get the oxygen into your bloodstream, you don't need so much in the raw air itself. Breathing 100% oxygen doesn't necessarily mean your oxygen level is going to go up really easy in the blood level. You can get it up there, but it takes a while. It's just much more natural, much easier if you've got your respiratory system working like it should. And as far as safety, you don't have to worry about it at all. That's always another question. Should you worry about blood oxygen, about using this product where oxygen is being used? And my rule is simply this. If you're using it in an environment where they say that you have to have explosion-proof fixtures, then I wouldn't use it. But there is more energy exposed when you flip the light switch than there is because of what you can get out of the product itself.
Thanks.
Let's see, Cher? Are you there? Unmute, Cher.
Yes, hi. I have nothing new to report other than fabulous stories from people sleeping better, experiencing deep sleep and oversleeping, which is a problem. But we have to educate people to use alarm clocks. And just a lot of excitement about previous customers and dealers that are very intrigued to experience the new product, Bill. So I'm excited about that.
Cool. All right. Sherry? Yeah.
Well, I have my own personal experience with this enhanced machine, because like I told you, I am now in Pennsylvania babysitting the puppy in my son's house. So he did a little bit of an accident. So I put my enhanced air restore in the kitchen because I realized they brought their air restore with them, the one in the kitchen. So I said, how come there's no air restore in this place? I know there's air restore all over the house. I put my new one in there. So I didn't realize I didn't have any the whole night in the room where I slept. Oh my gosh, by 2:30 I had such a excruciating headache. Bad headache because I have bad sinusitis too. And I realized, oh boy, this is going to be something that I will have to have forever. I can't live without it anymore. So I had personal experience with that just a few days ago, and I said, oh my world, this is really something, you know. And now I realize that that's why a lot of people actually they just fall in love with our product.
It doesn't take very long, and it is kind of like being the drug dealer in the grade school playground, where if you expose people to it and we hook them on it, then they're stuck with it. They got to have it, because there is definitely something about once you breathe and breathe so easily, then you really want to do it all the time.
Absolutely.
Han, I see you and Victoria there, and you wanted to unmute and share. I know you just got some of the first units, your first units down there. Have you had a chance to try them? Han?
Yes, hello, Bill.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hello, everyone. I experienced the greatest thing that I have never seen before with this enhanced product. The only thing I can tell is the air clean is my nose. I can't smell any other chemicals, but my nose will tingle and let me know that the air is clean, and I really like that.
Yeah.
One other thing is I worked out a lot, and I work out really hard, but now I don't have to work out as hard as I used to, because I believe I'm putting that good oxygen to work into my muscle.
Oh yeah.
And it cut down the amount of time that I spend at the gym. And I can see a great result I have never seen before. So I'm really happy with it. And I would recommend that to anybody that going to the gym or work out a lot. They have one of those in their home. That was really good, Bill. Thank you for having that new product out for everybody.
Han, you know, Victor, bring up an interesting point, and that is the fact that it is really difficult to describe to somebody what it smells like, because I'm not convinced it smells like anything. I think, what was the expression you used, Cher, in trying to describe this? It isn't so much an odor, is it?
No, it really kind of makes you feel different. And it just... What word do you remember me saying, Bill? I said so many.
Well, you do say a lot. No, the idea, the concept is that you actually feel. Feel the difference rather than smell the difference, because most of the time when you're clean the air, it's the absence of smell, and so the absence of something is really hard to describe what it is that's not there. But more than anything, it's just like Han was talking about. You feel it in your nose. You feel it when you take a breath.
Yeah.
I was kind of paying attention to it the other day by trying to see how would I describe it. And what I noticed is that when you take a breath, it seems like it takes less energy to take the breath, that you can take a shallow breath and it seems like you just get air all the way down through your system in a shallow breath, where before you had to take a deep breath in order to get that same kind of feeling. So the feeling of being at rest, breathing easy, all those kinds of things kind of add up to the fact that it's fresh. All the other things that we actually have are actually very difficult to describe and to measure, We can measure things like blood oxygen level. We can measure, as I showed you on that little screen with the ATP, we can show that we can reduce the ATP and not totally destroy it. We can do a Petri dish test, and we can see that we get the bacteria level down, but you can't feel that. You can't see that. And so it's very difficult to explain to people, and that's why we can keep going back to how did you sleep? Did you quit snoring? Do you feel more energetic? How's your memory? All those kinds of things are things that people feel more than they do anything else. Anybody else got a comment they want to throw in there?
Talking about smell, Mary cooked bacon last night, and we don't smell it today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So pancakes and bacon for dinner instead of for breakfast.
You know, and bacon, you know, stop and think about it. Bacon's a hard one because there's a lot of oil in the bacon odor. When you look at that basic molecule, it's a very complex molecule, very hard to get rid of. It's like a perfume or something like that that's very difficult to get rid of.
You know something else, Bill?
Yes, sir.
One other thing that I've been working with Victoria for a long time, and one thing I found out that she used to complain about migraine headache all the time, and now all of a sudden I don't hear from her anymore. Said I'm having a headache, I don't feel good, you know. I couldn't make this meeting, I couldn't go there, and now all that all of a sudden is gone, and she didn't even realize it.
Yeah, you know, but see, that's the way. You don't realize when something is not there. I mean, how many days do you wake up and say, "Oh, I don't have a headache"? You know, you wake up and you know you got a headache, but you don't think about the fact you don't have one, and so it's hard to notice unless you think about it. Oh, wow, I don't have my migraine. I'm not having a dripping nose because all of those things are non-events. And so that's why people actually have to try the product to be able to see where it goes. I'd like to change the subject just slightly then. Mark, how are we doing on getting caught up with the enhanced product up there? Are we able to keep up, and are we shipping, as far as you know, out of Minneapolis on time?
Yep, the last report that I saw, which came out last night, showed that we have inventory. We're shipping from stocks same day or next day, depending on what time the order comes in, and it's all the enhanced product. We're every unit that goes out now is enhanced product.
Super. So we're not having any shortage, and that's kind of interesting too, because with the offer that we made people out there to everybody in the field that have unused new product that they would like to swap. I know that we've been getting a lot of people sending their product in, getting it upgraded and enhanced, and we're hearing from people that we haven't heard from for a long time. Cher, I know that you're one of the people that kind of gets a lot of calls from other people that are out there that are getting reactivated again. What are they saying?
Bill, they are so excited to think that a company would be kind enough to extend an offer, if you had unused product, to return it and exchange it at no cost other than the shipping back. No, it's not even shipping back, is it?
Shipping, they ship it one way,
Yeah,
we
they
ship it.
Yeah, so only for the cost of shipping back to them that they get the brand new enhanced product. And it's re-energizing lots of people that, you know, started with us and then for whatever reason fell away, and they are coming back and excited to have the new product. They're very excited about what it's doing, and of course most of them haven't gotten it back yet, but they're excited to hear the things that they're hearing on these webinars and also hearing from people on calls on what it's doing for them.
Yeah. Well, it really is. And by the way, I'm just going to correct you on one thing. It's not that we're generous. It's a great business strategy because the more people recognize that this is a company that is going to be around and backs up their product, the easier it is for people to stay in business and propagate the business. Yes. Charlie, I know you've got a lot of people out there in California, because that's been a really powerful group that we have out there. What's been the reaction to people wanting to get their product changed, and how are they taking the idea that we're standing behind the product?
Oh, we love it, just like Cher was saying. they start to feel the company is really care for them. It's a new product, and they don't, they're able to change to the new product, so they all excited. So you can see business is only getting better and better. And especially these few days, the last few days, I got really busy. Everybody is going to upgrade to a lot. Some join at one system at the beginning, and as a matter of fact, last night even at 11 o'clock, they say, "Well, we get one guy sign up with one, but want to upgrade to a master dealer pack." And this is end of the month. July 31st is Sunday. How can we do that? Customer service is not open. Well, they call me, and then this is one of my jobs that I'm going to write an email. I have to write an email to make sure that they get qualified by end of the month.
Well, I was watching the computer last night, and late in the evening, all of a sudden there was a burst of activity where everybody was trying. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the month, and they just got their product, and they wanted to get everything done by the end of the month. So we had a big uptick. And I would point out to everybody, you can get online and place those orders, whatever you want to do, because the month does not end until actually we get to the 31st, and we got
Bill, you are not alone in watching those volume come up.
Yeah.
I was also up midnight, and it was surging, and I said, "Oh my gosh, people are still ordering."
Yeah.
And this is going to happen today and tomorrow, believe me. And like I tell everybody, Bill, this is really showing the kind of company we have.
Yeah.
The integrity that I've been talking about, now they're beginning to see it. And I'm saying to them, you could look at all the other companies out there, but there's only one Airrestore, because our company stands by its product. And the thing is, we own our product. You see what's happening now with the network marketing industry? Oh my world. One company, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it, they came out with a bang a year ago. They were trying to get everybody was trying to get into this company. And look, like what they have done the last 2 days, it was announced that they're getting rid of their distributors.
Wow.
What a sad story. Now they're going just to retail. So everyone who has actually worked so hard to build this company has nothing to look forward to. And I think that's a different story we have with Airrestore. Whatever we build from day one, like Shar was saying, the people, the dealers who came from day one are coming back. Why? Because they see that we are a different company.
Yeah.
And we have a different product.
Well, I know now is the time for people. You realize it's only been about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks since we introduced the enhanced version. Now, I guess it's almost 3 now. But by the time people announced it, people got some in their hand, and now all of a sudden they're saying, man, this is something we can really build on. That's been a very, very short period of time. I know, Ken and Mary, you guys have been kind of having that same kind of reaction too, haven't you?
We have, and Dave Miller and I, of course, I'm sure Cher's going to talk about the meeting schedule that you guys set up this month or in August. But Dave Miller and I were talking about it, and Dave has a background with Microsoft and the computer industry, and he said, how do I get people's attention? And I told him, Dave, ask people, say, how would you like to be involved in the next technology boom? And it happens to be with air purification, the air treatment, the new technology. And I think when people, realize that they missed that other one, that they are seeing that, hey, man, there may be a chance for me out there. And so I think that if we'll just point out that it is a new technology and they've got an opportunity to get it on the ground floor, literally. And I know that that's going to enhance these meetings, and I know we're excited about you coming to the San Antonio area.
Yeah, we're excited, going to be there too. John and Barb, I know that we just had a big meeting up in the Chicagoland, and you had a lot of people at that new meeting, and they got a chance to try the new product. How's it going? What's their reaction?
We've had people actually buy it without our guidance. They just got on the net and bought it off our website, which is nice. It's a nice little surprise. And a lot of people have got a lot of knowledge. In fact, one person who was there didn't want to be involved, but she's getting a dealer for us.
Cool.
She bought the product, by the way, and she's getting a dealer for us.
Excellent. It's going to get that way as word of mouth starts to continue to work, and the fact that I think that the reputation, that was what carried Alpine for so many years, is our reputation of being able to stand behind the product, of treating our dealers fair. I mean, we didn't have to take everybody's product back. We don't have to offer an upgrade program later on to take old product and upgrade it. Don't have to do any of that stuff, but the fact that we do it and shows people that we really, really are what we say we are, interested in creating this new technology and propagating the new technology around the world. Han, I know that you guys have been busy down there and across the country. Have you been getting reaction to the new product as well?
Bill, Barb thought of something you probably all should know about. It's kind of exciting, really. Tell them about this real fast.
Marianne was at the meeting on Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And she had talked to her girlfriend, and they wanted to order a set and split it. They both have small houses. And she called me the next day when she was going to place an order, and she goes, am I doing something wrong? She said she went to place the order, and it was $370. She thought it was $670. She goes, well, forget this. We'll each get our own then.
Isn't that something? That's a true story. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Sorry to, interrupt
Cool.
again.
There you go.
That's what I do.
All right. Han? You're still muted. There you go.
Yeah, we started getting a lot of phone calls coming in, and there was most people wonder how the technology changed. So I did a lot of time explaining it, and we had a couple orders just came through yesterday. A couple senior dealer package, and some people ordered just a home system, and we had people from out of state and said, well, after I explained to them what how the new enhanced system works, and they really like it. They said, well, if it works, I want to be a retailer. And we said, that's great, So if they become a retailer and they see the opportunity, I'm pretty sure they'll be a team.
Cool.
And that's very good news.
Very good. Well, Cher, why don't you take the last few minutes and talk about the meeting schedules that we've got set up where we're going to be, so people can get out and see us in person.
Okay, great. A lot of this is already noted on the back office, but I'll quickly review it. We are kicking off the month of August, starting with Ken and Mary there in, I'm sorry, kicking it off with Dave and Lori Miller in Fort Worth, Texas. And Bill, of course, you'll be at all of the meetings I'm talking about right now. That's going to be an evening meeting in Fort Worth. On the 11th and 12th, then you go over to the Houston area with Cesar Vinzen and his gang over there. You'll be there for 2 days in the evenings on the 11th and 12th at the Houston Galleria area. Then heading over to San Antonio with the Dockeries on Saturday the 13th. And that is going to be a very busy swing through the state of Texas for you, Bill. 4 days in a row.
Well, I expect to own Texas coming out of there. So Ken and Mary, you got your work cut out for you. Dave and Lori got their work cut out for you. And Han, I know you and Victoria over there in the Houston area. So I expect to see an awful lot of people. Sherry, I know you've got people. I know that
Cesar?
Cesar down there is really got some great things planned for us. Some meetings beyond the evening meetings as well. We're just getting ready to really blast out of here. I know Mark has really put together the team so that we can handle the increase in volume, but this has really been a shot in the arm to everybody to get a new product. And all I can tell you is you really need to stay tuned and stay hooked up and keep hooked up with your people, because there's going to be a lot of things happen between now and the end of the year that are going to be very, very significant. And so in the next few days, we're probably going to have some more announcements. And all I can tell you is keep hooked up. So panel, anybody here got a last comment? And otherwise, we're going to get ready to sign off.
Well, Bill,
Jerry.
yes, I would like just to say that I call this machine now our forever machine. Because if you remember in our Alpine days, everybody would ask you, how long is the warranty? How long will this machine last? And we will say 6, 7 years. But look, 25 years after, I see people still have that machine on top of the refrigerators. And with the enhanced product that we have now, I see it the same way, that we will have this product for years and years, ages actually. So this is going to be my forever machine.
All right.
I love that.
All right. Well, anybody else?
Thanks for your leadership. Appreciate
All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, panel. Thanks for everybody looking in. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm just going to let anybody that is on the viewer, I'll convert them to a panelist, and we'll say hi to everybody. So thanks, panel. Thanks, everybody.